my notes ready. Oops. Oh, there we go. Okay, I'm on YouTube and Facebook right now. Okay. Alrighty. It's a really weird time for me to be on, so I don't know if anyone's going to turn up. Plus, Facebook is my slowest live, so I'll give it a go, see if people turn up. Hello. I'm just saying, I'm not sure how many people are going to turn up. I'm on here at a really weird time. So anyway, welcome. This is not my busy live Facebook, which is good. It means I can answer pretty much all the questions that come in. So once I hit Instagram and TikTok, that's not possible. But on here, if you have any questions, I usually get to all of them here. So that's a good thing. So if you have any parenting questions, go ahead. If you're new here, my name's Lisa. I'm a parenting coach. I just do my best to answer your parenting questions. I teach leadership. I teach connecting between parent and child. Discipline is a tiny part of it, but that's what everyone wants to know about. So that's usually what we talk about, is how to discipline kids. But it's really a tiny part of the whole thing. But yeah, it comes up all the time. All the time, how to discipline kids. I have this thing I've been talking about lately, and I say most parents overpraise and underplay. So they think they're doing the right thing by telling their kids how wonderful they are, but your kids don't really care. They'd rather you play with them. That's their love language. Telling them, I love you, you're wonderful, you're special. And yeah, leave me alone, I gotta do the dishes now. See, none of that meant anything to them. But if you say, you can still say that, but they don't really care. What they want to hear is, hey, what are you doing? Can I play too? That's their love language. It gives you a lot of power, like a lot of leadership power, which is what you want. You want power over children because you're guiding them. They need that. They need your protection, your guidance, your safety. They need that. So yeah. Anyway, do you have any questions? If I'm on here at a really weird time, I don't have a lot of time right now, but I'm going to give it a go. If I don't start getting questions on here, if you're a regular, you know Instagram and TikTok are crazy busy. So I might just move over there instead of staying here and beating a dead horse if no one's going to ask me questions. So that's okay. Okay, do you discipline a 2-year-old, or when to start? You can start disciplining really at 10 months old. Let's say they bite you when they're 10 months old. You just say no. Like, you never want to say no to a baby and make them cry. You want them to go like this and look at you funny. That's what you want. So yeah, you can, but it's just done in very gentle ways when they're tiny. But then by the time they're about 16 months old, you use consistent corrective actions without the redirection or without the distraction. Under that age, you say no. Let's say they're hitting something or they're doing something you don't want. They're up on their feet. They're not 10 months old anymore, but they're up on their feet. And you say, no, you don't do that. And then you might go over and start reading their favorite book out loud to yourself. That's how you distract them. You don't say, hey, do you want candy? You go and do something that you think they might join in with. So it's what I call indirect distraction or redirection. Indirect redirection. So you don't look at them and do it. You just sort of start doing something, then you hope they come over and join you. But yeah, you can start disciplining. It's just how it's done. That's the thing. Yeah, discipline it's a conundrum. I would say my top 3 common parenting discipline methods that I can't stand, that are really common. One is timeout. Can't stand it. I think it's humiliating. Teaches them nothing. All it teaches them is to sit in a corner and feel like crap. I can't stand timeout. The other one is redirection or diversion. It's just a reward, because you never divert with broccoli. You always say, here, do you want this candy? When they're doing something bad, you divert them with something good. So you're rewarding the bad behavior. It's a terrible thing to do. The worst one, though, is the countdown. If they're doing something bad and you start counting down, if you don't stop that by the time I count to 3, you're in big trouble, mister. Yeah, that just makes you look weak. And yeah, they'd start pounding even harder and harder for those 3 counts. What you're actually teaching them is it's okay to do something rotten in the short term, just not in the long term. But yeah, those are my 3 top common discipline methods that I can't stand. They're just useless. Okay. If there are no more questions, I don't have a lot of time tonight. I'll go over to Instagram and then TikTok. Those are really busy lives. But I'm trying to grow it on here, you know. And but yeah, people tend to observe more on Facebook, whereas on Instagram and TikTok, they ask a lot of questions. So, But yeah, if there's no questions, I'll just move over because I don't have a lot of time tonight. So are there any more questions here? I'm also on YouTube at the same time. Um, okay, what should I do here? Hold on, please. I have twins. Hold on. I have twins. I'm holding. Do you have a question about your twins? Just waiting for your questions. I'll give it another minute. If I don't start getting questions on here, I'll just move to Instagram because that's a busy live. And you can always follow me over there too. So if you're shy about asking questions, your daughter's very headstrong. You said you have twins. Your daughter's very headstrong. I don't know if that's not a question, so I don't know what to say to that. Okay, Samantha, how do you handle a tantrum in the store? Same as you handle a tantrum at home. If you're a different parent when you're out, then they've got you where they want you. They know that, and they're going to get worse when you're out. So you've got to be consistent all the time, everywhere you go. But I'll tell you what I did with my son. He was 3 years old. It was his second to last tantrum, and we were in a mall, but it was very loud and busy. Like if it's a restaurant or somewhere where you don't want to disturb people, I would take them out to the parking lot and do this. Okay. Anyway, so I got a little toddler on my floor here. He's getting very verbal. Anyway, so what you do is I'll tell you what I did, sorry. My son was 3 years old and he started having a tantrum in a very loud, busy mall. So I pulled him off to the side and I got out my nail file and I'm just standing there filing my nails. I guess people were like, that kind of called attention to myself because I'm just standing there filing my nails. So moms kept coming up to me. And the moms with young kids kept coming up to me saying, oh, you should give him a hug. Talk about his big feelings. I'm like, oh, God. Anyways, keep moving. They don't know what they're talking about. Because if they only have little kids, it's like taking financial advice from someone with $10 in the bank. They don't know what they're talking about. Anyway, because I had tons of experience with kids. So that's why I kind of knew what I was doing. Anyway, but these grandmothers and moms with older kids kept coming up to me saying, good on you. You know what you're doing. I'm like, yeah, I know what I'm doing. So as soon as he stopped having a tantrum, it didn't last long. He was used to me. He knew that was not going to get any attention whatsoever. As soon as he stopped, I said, oh, you all done? Okay, let's get going. And then off we went. I never discuss a tantrum before, during, or after. There is no point whatsoever. Some of my clients are child psychologists, and I remember one arguing with me about this. Well, why do you not discuss it? How are they going to understand? I said that they've just understood it, that I ignore the crazy and reward the calm. That is the communication. But yeah, you don't discuss a tantrum before, during, or after. What's the point? There's no reasoning. She will begin to yell and get louder while I don't reward the behavior. I don't know how to get her to understand unacceptable. I don't like that. I don't know how to get her to understand it's unacceptable. She's never going to get that. She's going to, like, that's not the way it works. How old is she? I need to know how old she is. You said she's headstrong, but how old is she? Yeah, I can't answer that without an age. Is she 7, 16, 2? Different answer for all those ages. Oh, she's 2. Oh, okay. She's crazy. She's just a toddler. I'm going to read out my 5 top tips for parenting toddlers. And the last one is for you. Okay, number 1, childproof your home so you never have to say no. Number 2, set up a toy rotation system so they're never bored. Number 3 is when you want to connect with a toddler, and a toddler is under the age of 3, by the way, you do so in their world. Watch how they play and join in. Don't expect them to join your world. Like, let's go to the nail salon. It doesn't work that way. Go to the park and roll down the hill. They look at you differently when you enter their world. Number 4 is similar. When you want to discipline a toddler, you do so in their world. They're not about words. They're about actions, okay? So you use consistent corrective actions when they do something you don't like. And number 5 is stop trying to figure them out. They're not figure-outable. They're brand new, fresh human beings. They're crazy. They haven't developed sanity yet. They're just forming. One marble and some tumbleweed floating around in there. Imagine if you've only been in the world for 2 years and for 1 year you were a potato laying on a mattress. There's nothing wrong with toddlers. It's your perception of them and your management of them that's wrong. That's the problem. That's why people always say toddlers are so difficult. You just don't understand or manage them correctly. That is the issue. It's not them. There's nothing wrong with them. They might go like this and smear poop on the wall. That is not wrong for a toddler to do. They are brand new, fresh human beings. So yeah, those are my top 5 tips for parenting toddlers. Your expectations of toddlers are so out of whack that whenever I get clients who have older kids and toddlers, I'll ask them just out of curiosity so I can tell you this. I'll say, do you want to discuss your toddlers? And they're like, why? They're just crazy. Like they get it. They're just crazy. You can't reason with them. So a toddler's not going to understand their behavior is unacceptable. They just don't. Okay. Okay. Same with teenagers. They're my favorite age. I kind of specialize in troubled teenagers. I started my business doing teen crisis work, and there's nothing wrong with teenagers. It's parents' perception and management of them, management of your relationship with your teenager. That that's the skill. So yeah, those are the two most difficult ages. One that I hear the most about is toddlers are physically demanding, teenagers emotionally demanding. But if you understand each one of them, they're actually quite easy. Whenever I'm hired to work with parents who have teenagers, they can't stand the first session because it's always about me assessing the situation and then basically guiding them into how to apologize for everything they've done wrong. It's not quite like that, but parents go, but that's not fair. What about what they do wrong? And I say, so they're teenagers. You take the high road. They will eventually join you there, but you got to take it for quite some time before they'll join you. But that's how you do it. My baby screams all the time. Oops. Is she screaming for attention? I don't know why she's screaming. I'd have to assess the situation. So I don't know. Are you meeting her needs? So is she getting a lot of attention already? Yeah, I don't know why she's screaming. Um, Probably because you react right away. I would ignore the scream, and then as soon as they stop screaming, then I might give them a little bit of attention. Reward what you like and ignore what you don't with a baby. She's 18 months old. Yeah, but I don't know why she's screaming. She's screaming in anger or just in fun or yeah, I don't know. But basically, ignore the screaming, and then when she's not screaming, then go over and give her attention. It'll take a while. It's a slow burn issue. It's not a like right away. They're not going to get it. Takes them a while. They learn through repetition. They don't learn the first time. They learn through repetition, like over and over and over again. You said, yes, I am 18 months old. What are you? Any tips on helping my almost 4 and 2-year-old transition to having a new baby due in April? Both are very attached to me. Yeah, I can't help you with that. How on earth do you prepare a young child for a newborn coming into the house? I don't know how you would do that. Yeah. I've never seen anyone successfully do that. They're either going to transition easily, sort of on their own, or they're not. Yeah, I can't help you with that one. That's one where people say, I got a 2-year-old. How do I prepare them for the baby? No. How on earth can they have any concept of how their life's going to change? They'll see the new baby in the hospital. Parents do this all the time. Oh, you should have seen. She's such a loving big sister holding her little, and then you get at home and she's kicking the baby in the head. Like she's doesn't understand when that baby comes home, it's going to be smelly, loud, taking her parents away from her. How can they possibly have a concept of that? So no, just they will eventually learn. If the 4-year-old learned to accept the 2-year-old, they'll learn to accept the baby. Oh, she also throws food all over the floor. Okay, that's the 18-month-old, I think. Anyway, doesn't matter. Anyway, it's toddler. So what I would do is if a toddler, they have to be in a high chair, by the way, and don't over snack them. So you want them to come to the table hungry, right? So what I would do is as soon as they throw food, I say no, throw it in the sink or garbage, and then I take their food away from them and I hand feed them. You got to be fast with that. They have to connect. Throw food on floor, I get hand fed, and they don't usually want to be hand fed. Okay, well, there's a second part to this, but does that make sense? Oh, no, throw it away and then take their food and hand feed them. Fast. They've got to connect that. That's why you're hand feeding them. And then do that for the rest of that meal. Are they going to eat? Maybe not. Are they going to kick up a storm? Maybe. That's okay. That's a process. Behind every fit scene in a tantrum is a lesson. Transitions are hard for little ones. They're transitioning into not throwing food, into you hand feeding them. Okay, the second part to this is some parents will say, yeah, but they want me to hand feed them. And I say, not when you do it this way. Okay, so what I would do is if they want to be hand fed, I get real stupid and slow with it. I go, okay, here you go. Oh, did Did I forget to lock that door? And so you look like you're just really bad at it, and they're like this, ah. And then they'll eventually learn to feed themselves. But everything is slow and steady with toddlers. They're not going to learn overnight. Okay, how can I get my 3-year-old to stop saying naughty words and talking back? When his teachers give him directions, he tell blah 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 blah. He tells them to shut up, or he's the same at home. Or hits at them, same at home. Okay, work on your leadership. That's all that is. That's just a tell. It says to me that he doesn't respect you. He doesn't respect you. He's not going to respect anybody else. Okay, generally. So work on your leadership skills. That boot camp course, check it out in the link above. There's my free behavior board. My mini toddler course is my boot camp course from 3 to 12 years old. It's all about you and your leadership. When you're a good leader, that stuff it just would never happen. So work on your leadership skills. You lead, they will follow. All children instinctively need, crave, and want a leader. If you don't do that for them, they're going to be very vulnerable out there in the world. They're going to be very susceptible to peer pressure, bullying, the drug dealer on the corner, the internet, the Kardashians. They're going to go searching for leaders somewhere else. It's a natural instinct for a child to look for a leader. You want that to be you. Yeah, you got to work on your leadership. They always want to fix their kids. That's not what happens. You lead, you fix yourself, you teach yourself. You lead, they will follow. I've worked with hundreds of kids, toddlers, teenagers. I managed to get respect with all of them. Was it them? And believe me, I never got easy kids to work with. That's not what I was doing. I got the challenging ones. So was it them or was it me? It's my leadership skills. That's what gets the good behavior. That's what gets the good relationship. That's what gets the mutual respect. You lead, they will follow. It's not their fault. They're just following your lead. But from the ages of 3 to 12 years old, their behavior is 100% a direct result of your parenting. It just is. From 3 to 12. Before that, they're just nuts. After that, they're leading themselves a little bit more. So you're still there for the big stuff, but 3 to 12, you're at the height of your leadership skills. You lead, they will follow. You don't want obedient soldiers here. You want kids who make good choices, kids who respect themselves. They like themselves and they like you. They look up to you. They want to please you. You don't want teenagers to want to please you. You want them to want to please themselves and not disappoint you, but they're more their own leaders. They're transitioning into adults, right? Eventually. I figured. I can hardly imagine I've lived way longer than them. Which one was that? Any tips on helping out? Oh, yeah. Helping them transition with a new baby. Just difficult. Are you BCBA? What the heck is that? BCBA? I don't know. Chances are, if I don't know what that means, then I'm not one. I am kid taught. I have no formal qualifications. Thank God I'm not under any umbrella. I can say whatever I want. I teach everything from my own personal experience with hundreds of kids for 52 years now. So that's BCB. I don't even know what that is. Assume it's some kind of behavioral analyst or something. I don't know. Doesn't matter. That's not my world at all. I'm just a mom. Okay. How'd you talk to your teenagers about drugs? It's so scary. Well, that's the thing. You don't talk to teenagers about it. You talk to kids about it. You start when they're young, so they grow up hearing you talk about stuff and you educate them. It's amazing how misinformed or uninformed teenagers are because their kids don't talk to them. And they get the information from other kids, and you wouldn't believe how bad it is, the information they tell each other. I'm often stunned at how, I can't go into it, it's really detailed information, but that comes up quite often with teenagers. What they don't know always surprises me because their parents haven't talked to them. You make sure that you inform them correctly so that they don't get informed incorrectly when they're out there in the world. Information empowers them. It doesn't make them go towards that stuff. And it's quite the opposite. And how cool is it if your mom knows all about this stuff? Do you know what I mean? If they're doing drugs to rebel, what if you know more than their friends do about these drugs? Educate yourself on what's going on out there and discuss it openly with your children, age appropriate. That's what I did. My kids knew a lot more than a lot of kids did, and it empowers them. I can remember my daughter, I don't remember which kid it was, but anyway, one of them had to go to the bathroom and they didn't have friends around at the time. So they took their drink into the bathroom with them, like just little things like that. You never leave a drink out for someone to put something in. Just little things like that. Board certified behavior analyst. Oh my gosh, no, that's not me at all. I teach parent-child relationships. And a lot of my clients have child development degrees. Like a lot of my clients are teachers, principals, child psychologists. I couldn't do what they do, but I teach parent-child relationships. There's no PhD in that. It's just, yeah. I wish there was. I wish there was courses out there that taught that. You know. I've been doing this now. I started volunteering in daycare centers when I was 11 years old, and I'm 63 now. So I just always found kids fascinating. Any books you'd recommend? I've never read a book on parenting or kids or anything. Why would I? I teach my own information that I learned while working with kids. So to read what someone else, like it just wouldn't make any sense for me. Kids taught me all this. You know what I'd be more likely to read? Is someone writing a book about their childhood experience and what helped them. I'd be more likely to read something like that, what helped them. But feeling connected, feeling validated, feeling heard, that's what they tell me. Because I've specialized in teen crisis work. So they need to feel understood and not judged. So you've got a defiant 3-year-old. Yeah, that just says they don't respect you. That's a tell. If you're a leader, that wouldn't happen. Parents all want me to tell them how to fix their kids. I don't fix kids. I teach parenting. You lead. I teach leadership parenting. You lead, they will follow. That's how this works. The kids are just reacting to your parenting. That's all it is. So if they're defiant, it's because you're not leading. That's why. That's all it is. That's all it is. I've worked with hundreds of kids. I got them all. I got respect from all of them because I'm a leader. It's not because, believe me, I didn't get easy kids to work with. Yeah. Anyway, I got to get going because I've got a lot of time tonight. I'm on at a weird time. I'm moving over to Instagram now, and I'm on YouTube the whole time. Instagram and TikTok, and those are my really busy platforms. So this is the best one to get on for a live because it's this real slow start every time on Facebook. I don't know why. It's also my smallest live. But I'm growing it here, but Facebook is the best place to be if you want me to answer your question because the other ones get crazy. Anyway, thanks so much for joining me. I'm moving over to Instagram. If you want to join me, it's Bratbusters Parenting. If not, check out the link above. You can get my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp course from 3 to 12 years old, which is all about you and your leadership, or you can hire me for coaching. Okay, thanks so much, and we'll talk soon. Happy parenting. So are YouTube. Oh, I got a few people in there. Just have to hit a bunch of buttons here. Instagram, live. There we go. Just waiting for people to turn up. Plus, I'm saving my voice a bit. Hello. Instagram's weird. People all turn up in a big clump all together. It's bizarre. It's the only platform that happens. I can never figure out why. Why does that happen? I don't know. Anyway, I'm on at a really weird time tonight. I've only got about maybe 15, 20 minutes on here. So you might want to just start answering your questions and I'll do my best to answer them. Check out my link above. You can get my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp course, or you can hire me for coaching. Coaching's different these days. I don't always have time to take on new clients anymore. So you have to email me first and tell me why you want to hire me because I might just guide you to something else, to the toddler course or a boot camp course. Okay, how to deal with a 1-year-old who throws his food every time we put food on his tray. Okay, here's what I do with a little one who's throwing food. You got to be fast, though, because they got to connect this all. As soon as they throw food, you say no. You pick it up and throw it away, take their food away from them, and hand feed them. Are they going to like it? No, not at all. They might not even eat. They might just have a fit. That's okay. You can get them down, clean them up, and then maybe 15, 20 minutes later, you can put them back up in the high chair and try and give them another go. See if they're going to throw the food again. Yeah. They'll eventually connect the dots. Never look angry. Just look calm as anything. When you're disciplining, you couldn't be more zen. It's like a business transaction. All discipline is a business transaction. There's no emotions appropriate when you're disciplining. None. And then when you're playing with them, you're crazy. Nothing but emotions, crazy, funny, laughing. But when you're disciplining, it's a business transaction. So yeah, very, very calm. Okay. I love your work. It just makes sense. Yeah, that's it. It's just common sense. To me, it just makes sense. Um, it just, yeah, it just makes sense because I don't do anything that I would want to do with kids. My gut reaction, I'm a talker, like I'm not a fighter. I'm a let's work it out kind of person. Um, but so that's what I want to do. I want to discuss things. I want to have a mini therapy session with a toddler, but that's not what they want. I meet their needs. Their needs are, I know exactly what they're like at each age. I've just studied kids for 52 years now. I know exactly what they need at each age. And so I discipline, I play, everything is in their world, in their, like in their understanding. So what makes sense to us doesn't necessarily make sense to them and vice versa. So you got to meet them where they are. That's what parents struggle with. They actually want to try and reason with a toddler, with a 2-year-old. Good luck with that. Let me know how that goes. Okay, you got a 4-month-old and you like watching the videos for future. Good idea. Be prepared. And also don't look at those pretty mums that look all perfect. They're wearing those, those, oh, I love those track suits where it's all one and they're all so tall and skinny and they got this brand new baby and they're perfect. The big bow in the little baby's girl's head. Don't look at that. Look up funny parenting fail videos and you will just feel so great about yourself as a parent because that's not reality. That's all done. It's very cleverly curated for show, right? So yeah, that's not reality. I think that the problem is that parents' idea of what parenting should be is kind of out of whack with reality because they're so busy looking at all these pretty moms who are just gorgeous and their makeup is. Look at my morning routine with my baby. I do all this. I get the face mask on, while I'm breastfeeding, and then afterwards we go out, we go to the gym. It's not reality. I remember once my husband came home from work and I was in my house coat. I hadn't showered all day. And I think my baby had a cold. And so I was up all night and then I didn't sleep during the day because I'm really fussy. So I'm doing housework all day. Stupid. That's one thing I would change. I would sleep more during the day. I'm very fussy. So I love doing housework and keeping the house organized. Anyway, my husband came home from work and he came home to someone with greasy hair, crying, spit up on her, and the baby was happy. But I thought, that's reality. Not every day, but that's more reality. Okay, how do I deal with my stepdaughter? I don't teach step parenting. I only talk to biological parents because if I told you what to do with your stepchild and the biological parent didn't like it, see my point? So I often talk to like step parents and that, but they have to have the biological parent there. So in coaching, that I do that a lot, but the biological parent has to be there. How to deal with an autistic kid? Oh, sorry, I only deal with autism and coaching. You'd have to hire me for that because every single autistic child depends where they are in the spectrum. It's just different with each one. So I can't answer that. I have to assess the situation first, and then I could potentially offer some advice. That would be one-on-one with me. How to handle 17-month-old that cries every time we leave the room. I need him to learn to self-play. Yeah, but you got to teach him. Like what I would do is if I have to leave the room, I would get him going with something. Here you go like that. And then I just leave the room and let him cry. It's okay that they cry. It's okay. But you've already got him something to do instead. You didn't just leave him in an empty room, right? You've got something for him to do or her to do. And then you just leave the room. Let them cry. Let them figure it out. They will actually survive. They'll be okay. 3-year-old repeating bad words. Okay. Use the behavior board and put down no bad words on there. But do you say bad words too? If you do, you have to put that on for yourself too. But yeah, where are they learning that? Anyway, put down no bad words. And then if they do, there's a consequence. Check out the behavior board. It's completely free. It's on the link above. I've got the behavior board, the mini toddler course is the big boot camp course. That's all about you, your leadership. Everything's all about you. Everyone wants me to fix their kids. I don't do that. I teach parents. You lead, they will follow. I got respect with every kid. Young, teenagers, didn't matter because I'm a leader. So you lead, they will follow. With teenagers, you connect, they will respect. I don't take any crap. That's a bit of a different level kind of stuff. That's a different thing altogether. Yeah, teenagers are my favorite age by far. Because think about it. They're really smart and they're more interesting because you usually have more in common with teenagers because they're just that brain-wise, they're just a different level. So when you get a good relationship with a teenager, they are fascinating. What age to teach stranger danger? Well, I never taught my kids stranger danger because most freaks are someone they know. So I never taught them that. I taught appropriate stuff. And I said, it's okay to say no. And if someone tells you to keep a secret, you tell me right away. They're lying. If they threaten to hurt you or hurt the family, if you tell, they're lying. You tell everything. That's what I taught my kids because I've dealt with a lot of abused children. And the grooming is, I won't go into it here, but it's usually pretty consistent. And it's usually someone they know. Almost always someone they know. Anyway, I don't teach stranger danger. I teach appropriate stuff. Here's your body parts. These are yours. Only you can touch them. Mom and dad can touch them and see them. Also, a lot of parents say, if someone tries to touch you, that's not how they groom. They start by talking about stuff. They start, if an adult ever gets down on your level and looks at you and starts talking to you, you tell me about that because I'd want to know. No, most adults don't do that. Someone comes up to them and looks really interested, holds their hand, looks like all that kind of stuff. I've got a lot of experience with kids who've been abused, and that's how it goes. The grooming is where it's at. That's what you want to teach your kids. The grooming, what to avoid, what's inappropriate, and to tell you everything. It's often someone they look up to, unfortunately. That's why most of these freaks work with kids. They get their trust. They get your trust. But there's tells. There are tells. I don't like scaring parents with that. The more information you give your kids about this, the less likely it is to happen. Information is power. Doesn't scare them. That's the funny thing, is it doesn't scare them. Because I talked to my kids about everything throughout the years, so they just didn't think anything of it. But they were very informed. I'm going to tell you a funny story. My son was 9 years old, and we used to go to, but he still had to, when we went out in public, usually he didn't have to use a public bathroom, like after school or whatever, but he did this time. And he said, Mom, it was in the middle of a mall. And he said, I'm 9 years old. I don't want to go in the ladies' bathroom anymore. Can I go in the men's? And I knew that was coming, right? And I'm like, so anyway, I said, sure, sweetie, you go in, but you go in a stall. And what I did was he went in, and he knows me. He just laughed at this afterward. We were laughing. So he goes in. This is me. I'm outside the men's bathroom. I went like this. I held the door open. I could see everything. All I could see was a bunch of men's backs at the urinal. I opened up the door and I said, sweetie, I said, remember to use the stall. If you're not out in 2 minutes, I'm coming in after you. And all these men came running out, zipping up. They didn't even wash their hands. They were all laughing. They respected it. Anyone who doesn't respect that and see the humor in it, you got to wonder what's wrong with them. That's a mother protecting her child. Anyway, so yeah. How are you? Advice on how to get a 3-year-old to do number 2 on the potty. Yeah. There's a whole section of that in my potty training course. And not that you need that whole course for this. So I'll tell you, that's just one section of it. It's how to potty train in a weekend. Can't always do it that fast, but my son, I potty trained in 1 day. My daughter was 2 days. No pull-ups, no night diapers, nothing. Anyway, but I already kind of had respect, but it's a good way to start getting respect too. The reason why, especially boys, don't like pooping on the toilet, there's 3 reasons for it. One is plop phobia. Maybe they've been splashed. They didn't like the feeling of that. The second one is hanging phobia. They don't like the feeling of the poop hanging, it pulling on their bum. Doesn't feel good. They're not, because they're used to being smashed up inside a diaper, right? The third one is the coldness, the cold air, because they're used to pooping in a warm, smashed up environment. So what you do is you get a little porta potty and you explain, look, this will be nice and warm. There's no water in there, so it won't splash you. And also the poop will just hit the toilet, put a bunch of toilet paper in there, have them help you. So that should help and hike up the heat in the bathroom. But yeah, very common, especially with boys, because boys have more equipment down there. So yeah, it's more common in boys to not want to poop on the toilet. But super, super common. Yeah, another person just asked that. How to help a 3-year-old that when corrected shuts down completely, says don't do it. Are you doing the lectures? I don't lecture. I just say, okay, that was bad. The consequence is this, and that's the end of it. And then I shut down. What's the point in talking about it? Use the behavior board, check it out. Yeah, it sounds like you're doing the mini therapy sessions. I'd shut you out too. I just would. I'm not going to listen to it. Yeah, I got it. I got the discipline. I got the consequence. Now I'd feel like saying, now shut up. Like, what are you doing? So yeah, you probably lecture. I'm guessing you lecture. So yeah, I would say, look, that was bad. The consequence is you're going to help me do the laundry later. Do you understand? Okay, let's go to the park. And that's the end of it. So yeah, I think you're lecturing. Okay, I can't really talk about this. Not because I'm vegan, but my daughter refused to try any meat. A lot of kids don't like meat because it's chewy and rubbery. But yeah, I can't. So it's common, but I can't really talk about it because I'm not a nutritionist. But I will tell you what I did with my kids. I'm a gluten-free health food vegan now. In my old age, I wasn't vegan, but I was always really into health food. And I was very good at sneaking things in. Like I would puree spinach. You can put pureed spinach in pretty much anything. My pizza sauce was brown because it had pureed spinach in it. So yeah, I made everything from scratch. There was no junk food in the house at all. But yeah, there are lots of meats that aren't chewy. That lots of different forms of meat, and you can even shred it up, and so it's usually the chewiness that they don't like. But yeah, that's what I did. But yeah, I can't really talk about that. And I am vegan. I wouldn't raise children vegan though. Like I'm not pro-vegan. It just works for me. I don't know if it's a good way to be. It just works for me. And I wouldn't raise children vegan because the jury's still out on whether or not, is it really healthy for kids? I don't know. I don't know. I'd want to cover all my bases and make sure that, I wouldn't eliminate, I wouldn't raise my kids vegan. Maybe if people choose to do that, that's fine. I personally wouldn't do it. We are not cannibals. Children don't need meat. Oh, for goodness sake, don't get political. That's me, my way or the highway. Yeah, I don't listen to that. That's why vegans get a bad name, because they get people like that, right? Who says, get all holier than thou. Yeah, I'm not like that at all. You could sit right beside me and gnaw on a bunch of ribs. I'd probably be drooling over them, but I wouldn't eat them. Yeah, I respect we're all different. And that's why if you're going to parent with those attitudes, good luck with that. Because your children are allowed to have their own opinions too, right? It's not just your way or the highway. Good luck with teenagers if you're a parent and you have that kind of personality trait. Yeah, good luck with that. I have an out-of-control, explosive 7-year-old. She refuses to do anything I ask. Explodes at the, okay. Whines to get a don't know where. Okay. I would check out the boot camp course. That's all about you and your leadership. That would not happen if you were a leader. It just doesn't. So you can check that out. If you think that might not be enough for you, if you're like red zone next level, which you may be, that would be coaching one-on-one with me. So yeah. Just check that out. You need guidance on how to be a leader. That's all it is. You can just keep watching, try the behavior board. If you're on the verge of getting the course or hiring me, don't do the behavior board on your own first, because especially if you're going to do the course, because if you mess that up, it's harder to do the next time and get it right. If you're going to hire me, I can use your failures in the past to our advantage. I can't tell you how because it's kind of involved, but I can use it to our advantage, but I'd still rather you not do the behavior board until you hire me, and we'll do it together. What's the best way to handle my 17-month-old when he whines to get attention, food, or to be held? He doesn't know how to talk, but acts like he wants to. Now, do they talk at that age? My kids are pretty chatty from a really young age. Some kids don't talk till they're 3. So it's very different with each kid. So he's just whining all the time. You've got to be really quick on the draw with this one, with this advice, is when he's whining, you completely ignore. As soon as they stop whining, give it a bit of time, or if they ask nicely, or they just sort of talk nicely or sort of mumble nicely, then you go, oh, do you want to do that? As soon as they whine, say no, and then you got to send the message. They will eventually connect it up. 17 months old's too little to have the conversation about whining, but you got to teach them that what gets them attention and what doesn't. It takes time. Uh, this one's kind of interesting because it could be a million different answers. Oh, shoot, I've got to get going soon. How do we navigate those emotions that come up when we aren't able to figure out how to communicate in those heated moments? I feel like walking away and removing myself does more damage. I'm going to keep it simple. That's a big answer, by the way. I could go on about that, but I'm going to keep it simple. Let's say your kids do something you don't like and it gets heated. This is what you could do in the meantime. If you want to hire me or check out the boot camp course, that'll teach you what to do in the long run. But in the short term, you can just do this. You can say, I'll tell you what, I'm not happy about that. I'm going to give it some thought and we'll discuss it later. Okay. And then you can disconnect. And then you can say something like this. Do you want to read a book? Do you want to go to the park? So you don't necessarily have to walk away from them unless you feel that you need to, but you're addressing it, but you're doing so like a leader. You're deferring it till later. Makes you look, it's one of the things I do really frequently with clients is you defer the punishment. Say, I didn't like that. We'll discuss it later. Okay, we'll discuss, and then say when. We'll discuss it after dinner tonight. Do you understand? Okay. You want to read a book or do you want to go to the park? It goes something like that. It makes you look like a leader. It gives them time to sweat and you time to think and also to cool down. If they're still going nuts, then you can just wander off, but don't walk away in anger. Wander off and do the laundry or something. Look like you're just, oh, okay, I'm going about your day. It's hard. Check out the boot camp course, or you might want to hire me for that if you're really at that, you know. I'm new, just started following. What's your background? Oh, God, I love talking about it. No one ever asks anymore, so it's good. I have no formal qualifications, thank God, because I'm not under any umbrella, so I can say whatever I want. I started I started volunteering at daycare centers when I was 11 years old, and I found out I was really good at getting respect with kids. The daycare ladies would even ask me, "How do you get respect?" And that they like you, they want to be with you all the time. I was 11, and and I sort of always just had this in me. And then I was about 20, and I thought I'm going to be a child psychologist. So I took a prerequisite course. Within the first week, they kicked me out. They gave me my money back. I should have held out. They would have given me double to get rid of me. I asked too many questions, and what they were teaching was just garbage. This is 40 years ago. I'm sure they've improved now, but it was just this holier than thou, patronizing way of looking at dealing with kids. It was just crap. So anyway, I didn't agree with it at all. I thought it was very disrespectful. And all the other students started asking me questions instead of the teacher. So anyway, and I realized that's not for me. So then I just volunteered in hospitals, homes. I went through the government and did some work at that, but all volunteering. So I got some training through the government to get clearance, schools, tons of schools. And I just figured kids out. I just found, and where I learned the most was with delinquent teenagers. And they're the ones who said, you got to teach this, Lisa. No one talks to us like you do. So they told me to start my business. And then I think it was about 15 years later I did. So, but yeah, just kids taught me everything. I studied, I was just obsessed with figuring them out because we all were kids at one time. I can look at kids and I can pretty much figure out what they're thinking at all ages. I find it fascinating because we were all there. If you can understand kids, you can understand people better. You can understand adults. We're all based in our childhood. So it's quite interesting. Anyway, I do find kids fascinating. So that's my background. And then I'm 63 now, so that's 52 years I've been doing this. But I started my business 17 years ago. And a huge portion of my clients are teachers, principals, and child psychologists. I couldn't do their job. And they struggle just as much with parenting as everybody else. And they can't figure that out. The reason is it's different. It's personal. It's very different. They're institution based. They're business based. Parenting is personal. It's just different. Oops. Oh shoot, I gotta go. I gotta move over to TikTok because I've got to race through these tonight. Anyway, if you want to join me on TikTok, it's Bratbusters Parenting. Otherwise, check out the link above. You can get my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp course, which is all about you, your leadership, 3 to 12 years old, or you can hire me for coaching. You can't hire me on my website anymore because I'm getting busy. I need to know what you want to hire me for because I might say no, or I might lead you to the boot camp course or something else because I can't help everybody. I just don't have time anymore. So anyway, but right now I am taking new clients, but I want you to email me first and we'll discuss it and go from there. Anyway, thanks so much for joining me. And I'm going to TikTok now. Take care. Happy parenting. Okay, sorry, TikTok. Good, I'm on the right channel. I have 2 channels on TikTok. One's just my old lady fitness channel. I just talk about being an old lady at the gym. Okay. Okay. Oh, sorry, YouTube. Any suggestions on 11-month-old getting mad when trying to bottle? Should I just try sippy cup? Any suggestions? Getting mad when trying to bottle. So going from a boob to the bottle? I don't quite understand the question. Oh, for breastfeeding, right? Okay. Breastfeeding to the bottle. Just stick with it. They're not going to like it. Just stick with it. Be very calm. Also, dress differently and have your husband or someone else feed the baby if possible. But yeah, that's what I did with my daughter. I dressed differently so she couldn't get access, and I'd just say no, and then they'll eventually learn. Um, oh, someone asked about religion. I don't discuss politics or religion. So, okay, welcome. This TikTok now I'm on. I just came from Instagram, and then I was on Facebook before that. Facebook's weird because Facebook, people just sit there and watch before they ever start asking questions. Then they all jump in at the end. It's really weird. I wish people would space it out more. So it's like no questions because it's my smallest platform. So no questions, and then they all jump in at the end. Just as I'm saying goodbye, they all have all these questions. Instagram's very busy, and so is TikTok usually. Okay, so 16-month-old twins just started daycare. The separation anxiety is so tough. Only want me. Yeah, it's just temporary. They're just going to have to learn. Do the dump and run. Don't make a big deal out of goodbyes or hellos. So the transition is the goodbye and the hello. Don't make a big deal out of it. Do the dump and run. Say bye, see you later, and then just go. They'll eventually settle down. How to prepare a 3-year-old for move. You can't prepare them for big stuff. How do you prepare a 3-year-old for move? It's like, how do you prepare a 3-year-old for a new baby coming into the house? Yeah, you can't. Some things you can't prepare them for. You can't. I mean, I've moved lots of times. I've moved overseas with kids, without kids, to Australia, back and forth, and I couldn't prepare for it. So yeah. The hardest move I ever did was moving me as a single mom, moving myself and my 2 Australian kids from Australia back to Canada. My ex-husband was joining us later. And moving as a single mom who sounds Canadian with 2 Australian kids, a one-way ticket out of Australia. I had to get lawyer. I paid a fortune to get legal advice on how to get out of the country. It was a big deal, which I really respect. That was a big deal. That was a very stressful move because they kept getting told we were stopped everywhere and pulled into offices and at every airport. It was frightening. Why is my toddler throwing things at me when he doesn't get his own way? Because he's mad. That's why. Yeah, he's mad. So just say no and put that thing away so they can't have it. They need consistent corrective action. Under the age of 3, they're toddlers. If they're 3, they go on the behavior board. That's completely free. It's in the link above. Oh, by the way, if people ask to come in on these lives, I don't let anyone in on my lives, ever. I did it once about 2 years ago, and they just started talking about their business. And they just wanted my audience and talking about their business. I was horrified. I would bang, they're out of there. Not to say that you would do that, but yeah, I learned my lesson. I won't do that again. You said, I don't know if this is a question. You said gentle but firm and lots of play. Seen so much improvement in my ADHD kid. Well, I don't use the word firm ever, but or the word gentle. I just use leadership. But lots of play, I relate to that. Lots of play. Fun is a child's love language. That is what makes them feel the most loved, the most special, the most likable. It's just their love language. It makes them feel good. So the more you play with your kids in their world, the more you play with them, you watch them play and join in. Don't do adult, like, here, let's play Monopoly. It's not like that. It's you watch them play and then you join in. And that is their love language. So it gives you a lot of power as a leader. My 3-year-old does not follow instructions. I feel lost. Well, I don't really do instructions with kids. I never really told my kids what to do. I was a very good leader, though. There's a difference. Anyway, check out the behavior board up above. It's in the link. It's completely free. Check it out, and that'll get you started on leadership. I teach leadership here. Yeah, I don't really do instructions. Um, yeah. What I did do with my own kids, I don't teach really what I did with my own kids because I was level 10 with what I teach. So I teach how to learn how to do this, right? But yeah, with my kids, let's say I want them to start doing their chores. They were really little when they were doing chores, and I waited. So let's say they hadn't made their bed yet, and I wouldn't say anything. And they would just stop playing and that, whatever. And then they might say, "Can we go to the park?" And I'd say, sure, as soon as you've made your bed, they'd run, make their beds, and then off to the park we'd go. I use the as soon as method. Next thing you know, they're making their beds before they even come out of their room. Because they know before we go to the park or before the TV goes on, or you see, so they just learned, this is what I was teaching them. You got to do what you need to do before you can do what you want to do. And they didn't think anything of it. They literally never argued with me. They just did it. Mom, can we have a snack? Of course you can. Oh, have you put your laundry away yet? Oh, sorry, Mom. And they'd run and do it. It was that easy. It was that easy. I remember I had friends over once and they commented on that. And they said, my God. And because I said, oh, sure, as soon as you blah, blah, blah. And then they went, oh, does that work? And I said, yeah. How to get them in bed. Okay, I have a whole course on that called Bedtime Battles. And it's between the ages of 2 and 8. It's in the link above, and it teaches you 2 parts, how to get them in bed and then how to keep them there. That's the hard part, by the way. Getting them in bed is easy. Keeping them there is the hard part. Anyway, check that out. It's going to be one wild night. It's not going to be easy, but it's worth it. It's usually one night of hell. The worst, I always say, the bigger the storm, the bigger the rainbow. Everyone's trying to avoid the storm. Parents are all afraid of fit scenes and tantrums. Why? That's where the lessons are learned. It's like that 8-year-old kid that I just met. I was supposed to work with him. And he was a handful. And he said to me, I just met him. And he said to me, if you don't give me what I want, I'm going to have a fit. And I said to him, bring it on. And he never did. He was like, whoa, she knows what she's doing. I have no fear of that. Bring it on. That's my opportunity to exercise my leadership. Every fit scene in a tantrum, I walk right into it. I'm welcoming it. Bring it on. That's my opportunity to exercise my leadership, to show you can't control me. It's powerful, powerful. Never try and avoid the storm. I wish you could come live with me for a month. When I first was on TikTok, I was only on here. I blew up overnight on TikTok. It was unbelievable. Never saw that coming at all. Anyway, and I got this offer. It was from someone in Saudi Arabia or somewhere. Now I won't tell you how much it was, but they offered me a lot of money. I mean, it would have set me up pretty much for life. A lot of money to come out and live with them just for a month. I think I can't remember. I wouldn't do it, but I mean, wow. I guess when you've got unlimited funds, that amount of money is nothing to you, right? And their kids are out of control. But yeah, I said, yeah. Okay. Do any of your courses cover how to handle 2-year-old who runs away when it's time to go? Well, no, you don't need the course for that. That's a runner. There are 4 different things that children are pre-wired to do. One is tantrums, one is running, one is climbing, and one is hitting. Those are things they're born. They're either going to do them or they're never going to do them. My son had tantrums. But yeah, running is one of them. So what you do is you put a harness on them before you go out. And then as soon as they start to run, you say no, clip them in, and you leave them clipped in with a leash for the rest of that outing. They will eventually learn. And it's going to be one ugly scene, but it's worth it. It's like that, you got to go through the storm to get to the rainbow. But if it will be ugly, but I suggest you go and do like a trial run with this so that they go somewhere where it doesn't matter. Don't go somewhere you have to go and they're going to have a fit in the scene the whole time. Go somewhere where it doesn't matter so that you don't care if they have a fit in the scene. So do the test runs first. I don't know how to answer it. I'm going to read it and I'm going to tell you why I don't know how to answer it. Do you have any course handling what to do with a 10-month-old who hates to be bored and fuss. I've never heard of that. My 10-month-old is bored. Um, I don't know how to answer that. What do you mean by bored? I mean, they're just sitting there like this. Oh, I wish I had something to do. I don't quite know what you mean by that. Yeah, okay. I'm going to read out my top 5 tips for parenting toddlers. And the reason I am, even though a 10-month-old is not a toddler, they're not really toddlers to me until they're about 16 months. Okay. Number 1 is number 2 is for you. Number 1 is childproof your home so you never have to say no. Number 2 is you set up a toy rotation system so they're never bored. And I'll get into that in a minute. Number 3 is you enter their world to connect with them, so you watch them play and join in their world. Number 4 is you discipline them in their world. Their world is about consistent corrective actions, not words. And number 5 is stop trying to figure them out. They're not figure outable. So what I said was number 2 is for you. Set up a toy rotation system so they're never bored. So you maybe have too much stuff out at any given time. Usually when children are bored, it's because they're overstimulated by too many toys out. So yeah, do a toy rotation system. And you start the play and then you walk away. So you don't just throw something in front of them. Some babies need a little bit more help with that. My son, my God, he would play for hours all by himself. My daughter, not so much. She wanted to be with me all the time. So they're all different. So he was very good at independent play. She wasn't so much. She wanted to be with me. But yeah, so start the play and then just walk away and do your own thing. And they'll eventually learn that you're not just there to entertain them all the time. Yeah. This one's a tough one. And okay, I'll tell you, okay. What do I do when my daughter is stomping when she's mad because we're upstairs neighbors? So in other words, you can't have a kid stomping because the downstairs neighbors. I don't know how old she is. I would say work on your leadership skills and she's not going to stomp. It's not going to happen right away though. So yeah, work on your leadership skills. They don't stomp. They don't act out when you're a leader. So yeah, check out my behavior board, if she's 3 and above, then you can check out the boot camp course. Set yourself up as a leader. That wouldn't happen. So, but it's not going to happen overnight. You got to work on that. My son just turned 1, suddenly all tantrums. He was the easiest, most chill baby. What happened? Well, he's just realizing that maybe I have some power here. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to read my 5th tip for parenting toddlers, and it applies to that. Stop trying to figure them out. They're not figure outable. Okay. They're crazy until they're about 3, and you can start to reason with them when they're 3. But yeah, don't worry about it. He's just developing. They change all the time. So yeah, it's just developing. They're pre-wired to have tantrums or not. So someone came on here once and they said, I have 4 children, not one of them ever had a tantrum. And they worded it, they were bragging. And I said to them, you can't take credit for that. They're born to have them or they're not. My son had them, my daughter never did. I never had one. You're pre-wired to have tantrums. So yeah, it's not your fault they have tantrums, but by the time they're 3.5 to 4, if they're still having them, you really want to work on your leadership skills. They should be diminishing too throughout those years. So you can minimize tantrums duration, frequency, and intensity by learning how to manage a tantrum. I've got a whole course on tantrums if you're interested. I don't talk about astrology or politics or religion. I don't even know what signs my kids are. Not into all that. And it's not going to serve anyone here. Okay. Okay, what if your toddler has seen arguing too often between adults? They're not listening to you, they're watching you. The first 7 years is when we form our personalities. And there was some big science thing done. And I always said they're not listening to you, they're watching you. And they came out, I'm sure other people will agree with that too. But anyway, they came out, they just did some huge scientific study over a period of 50 years. And they found out kids are not listening to you, they're watching you. So everything that they've learned is through observation in the first 7 years. Everything they've learned is through observation. So in other words, I can't help you with that. If they've seen arguing, it's going to affect them. It just does. They've seen it and it's happened. You can just move forward in a more positive way. How can I get my almost 3-year-old to stop hitting? I have a course on that if you're interested. Toddlers who hit, bite, etc. Or when she does or he does turn 3, you can use the behavior board. 3 is when it all kind of happens. 3 is when they can stop and think before they act. At 3, they are starting to be able to learn how to reason. It doesn't mean they will, but they can start to learn how to reason. That's 3 years old. And it's a pretty hard line. Like what I mean is by 3, they can all kind of learn. Some can learn before that, but it's still 3. You don't want to rush stuff. So 3. What age to start teach sharing? About 3. And well, you can teach children not to grab stuff and to hand stuff over to other people when they're little, but they're not really sharing. They're just doing it because they have to. Then sharing is part. They have to have empathy to be able to really understand sharing, and they get empathy at 3 years and 9 months old. I've been saying that for 50 years. Now the professionals are saying that too. 3 years and 9 months is when it happens. They just start to understand they're not the only ones in the world. They can start to feel other people's feelings. They look like they do before that. My daughter was highly sensitive. Even as a baby, if I looked the least bit stressed or upset, she used to hold my face like that and look at me all worried. But it was scaring her when she saw me upset. But she's extremely empathetic young woman. Well, she's 29, but she just has a lot of empathy in her. But they don't really get it until they're 3 years and 9 months. So that sharing requires empathy. Where do I go for your course? Everything I have, actually I have to get going. Everything I have to offer is in the link above. Just one link, you can just go up there. Everything I have right now in my business. You can get my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp course. By the way, if I haven't answered your email, I've just got a huge amount of emails backed up, and it won't make any difference in when I book you in if we're coaching, okay? So it's just I go in when I get the emails in, so don't worry about that, by the way. But anyway, you have to email me now if you want to work with me. My boot camp course is also in there, 3 to 12 years old. That's when you're at the height of your leadership. Their behavior from the ages of 3 to 12 is 100% a direct result of your parenting. You never want to fool with their basic nature, their personality. You want them to have a voice. You want them to have confidence and have high self-esteem. But you want them to learn how to respect themselves and others. That's where the leadership comes in. 3 to 12, their behavior is 100% a direct result of your parenting. That's why that course is 3 to 12. It's not 2 to 15. It's 3 to 12. It's very tight little. I've thought for years about where do I end that? Do I end it at 9? Do I end it at 11? 12. Anyway, 3 to 12. Okay, I got to go. Thanks so much for joining me. The link's above. It's in the thing up there somewhere. I don't know. I never look at it, but I know it's up there. I know it is because other people are messaging me while we're talking. So anyway, thanks so much for joining me, and I'll be back again soon. Happy parenting. Bye now.